You guys are going to have to mute your laptops or it's going to be like...
And I'll go over that as well when we get started.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'll just put it in this chat. There you go. Oops. Send that to, let me send it to Chelsea. Here we go. Okay, Chelsea, you should have that link.
I like the music. I don't know who has the music.
Oh, thank you. We've got it going on in the back. It's Christmas time. So what's a holiday workshop without holiday music, right? It puts us in a cheerful mood around here. And it gets dark over there a whole lot sooner, right? It's already almost sunset.
Where are you, Amanda?
We're in the San Antonio, Texas area. So it's only 3:15 here and bright and sunny still outside.
So nice.
But the sun wakes up a whole lot earlier for you guys too, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's up at 7 for us. And then pitch black by 6.
Hi, Amanda. You can actually go ahead and start because we're not sure how long this is going to take, so we don't want to waste your time.
Okay, no worries, no worries. All right then. And now that everybody is in, I'll introduce myself. I'm Amanda or Mandy Blissett with Blume Haus Fine Flowers in the San Antonio, Texas area. We are a floral shop, but we also, our main bread and butter is events and weddings, which obviously, as you know, came to a screeching halt with COVID. We had already done like in-person workshops for a good while before COVID hit. And as many of us, you know, with kids and jobs and everything, we were just kind of looking for something to do and came up with the idea of taking our workshops online. And through all of that, we figured out how to ship our flowers as well nationwide. So you no longer have to use those Wing 800 flower things that are awful for florists. You can just call us and we can ship your arrangement anywhere, including workshops. But that is literally what got us through the big major shutdowns. We didn't have to let go of a single team member. In fact, we added 2 team members throughout all of this because the workshops were such a huge hit, especially with private ones, just like you guys. So we're incredibly thankful for you guys taking some interest in fine flowers and learning how to do this today. The first thing we're going to do is prep our vase, okay? We kind of already went through the main supplies that you need. You should have your vase, your little birch box, your soaked oasis. So it should be nice and dark and green. You should have your flower shears that were included in your kit and some way to cut the oasis. This is just a little knife that we use. You can use a kitchen knife. You can use sharp scissors, anything, just something that will cut through the oasis. And I also like to have some paper towels because we're going to be dealing with, you know, wetness. So I like to clean up as I go. And then also if you have your little recipe card, having an idea of the end goal of what it should look like is very helpful. So we're going to take our, and having this on Zoom is incredible because not only can I see you and like help out making some suggestions, you can also chime in and ask questions. So if I've skipped something or if you have a question, feel free to ask because most likely somebody else is asking that same question. So otherwise everybody's going to be muted.
Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
The recipe card?
Yes.
Was that supposed to be in the box?
Yeah, it was in your instructions.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
There wasn't an envelope that said workshop instructions? Okay.
Yeah, no, there's nothing in the box. I checked the box.
Gotcha.
It's on the lid. It was glued to my lid.
Yep, yay, she got it. Great. That has before and after care instructions on how to care for your flowers when you receive them, and then also when your class is over, and then also where to tag your arrangement afterwards, because we want to see your big, beautiful, smiling faces with your arrangement. Okay, so we're going to get our birch box in front of us, and then we're going to take our oasis, and you can see it can either be fat and flat or tall and skinny. We're going to do the tall and skinny mode of this, and we're going to take it and line it up against one edge of our oasis, or I'm sorry, box. Actually, this looks like it will slip right in there. You might not have to cut it at all. It's going to stick up just a hair. If it did not slide in there well, turn it, because you might have it a different way as well. You might have it this way. So just turn it on its side, and it should slip right in there. If it did not, then you press on the top just a little bit to make an impression, and that's your cut mark where you would cut right alongside it. But otherwise, it fits in there nice and well. You'll have a little bit of space on either side, and that's okay. That's not going to matter at all. It also gives you a place to water it. Perfect. All right, our vase is prepped. We can put that to the side for the moment. And now we're going to get out our flowers. Hopefully you've been having them hydrate since you received them. It's okay if you didn't. You just got them today, so that's not like they've been sitting without any water for a good while. Go ahead and undo the binding wire if you have not. And you can discard that. Let me get this over here for trash. All right. So now let's go through everything that you should have, because those names probably don't mean a whole lot to you. We have our red hypericum berries. Then we have our small white spray roses. This particular variety is called Snowflake, which is very appropriate for our holiday workshop. You should have a good little amount of this fluffy stuff called Status. And if you feel it, the petals feel fluffy, almost paper-like, and they will dry exactly this way. So when the arrangement is done and you're ready to discard it, keep these, because they dry just like they are. Then we should have our white roses. It's okay if it broke. We've got, even if it's short, we can use them.
Okay.
Yep. No worries. Then you've got these white cushion palms. And they're a type of daisy, but they don't have a center, a traditional daisy center. That's why they're called cushion. And then you have these white, beautiful paper white spray carnations. And then you've got a good amount of pine, which is the long needle kind. And then you also have cedar, which is the longer kind. And then you also should have 2 little gold ornaments. Let me go grab mine. I did not grab mine. One moment. Alrighty. And those will be one of our finishing touches when we're done, if you so choose. Some people don't have gold in their homes. They're more of silver or white. That is quite all right. These are just an accent to festive it up a little bit. There we go. All right. There you go. So those can go off to the side. The greens we're going to do last. So you can kind of push those over to the side. What we're going to do now is you kind of have a mess in front of you, and that's okay. This is exactly how the flowers come to us as florists. So you're getting the whole florist experience. So these are straight from the farm, not cleaned up at all. So that's what we're going to do first. And we're going to clean them all up. And we do that first so we don't have to stop our designing process in order to clean flowers. Once we're designing, we're just designing and letting those creative juices just flow. So let's start with our white cushion daisies. You'll notice there's a lot of long individual pieces here. And then the lower ones have not bloomed. They're really small, really kind of nothings. I pretty much just discard these and I just peel them off from the base, right like that, to discard them. These leaves, I'll do the same thing. I'm just kind of peeling them down, right like that. And I'm going to peel off all of these big leaves. And then it's a judgment call on how big or small these are, if you choose to keep them or not. If you happen to have a cluster that is doesn't have very long limbs, these all actually kind of do look. As long as the limbs on there are 5 inches or more, you're going to use them as an individual. And what I mean by that is, let me show you. All right, so these are all ones that I want to keep and use because their heads are nice and big and fluffy, but they're still really, really long for what will be my arrangement. So I'm going to cut them where they connect to the main stem and then use him as an individual bloom. So out of this one, I will have 4 individual stems. Does that make sense? I'll show you that again. Let's see, I'm not going to keep that one. And cut off right where they connect. So an individual stem.
What's like a decent amount? Like what's decent length?
You want at least 5 inches or longer. Anything shorter, you can still use, but you probably will have enough that you won't need something that short. Okay, here, actually, this is a good little example of a clustered one. So, for example, this one in particular has 3 that are relatively short. They're definitely shorter than 5 inches. So I'm going to keep these, because they are also around the same height, as an individual stem. I'm not going to cut them to be separate. But they're only 3 to 4 inches.
Can we keep the tiny ones as well?
You can. We're not going to use them in our arrangement today. But if you want to keep them and use them with your extras, you certainly can. Because you will have a few extras in here. Some people like to put them in like little bud vases by their bed. Or just make a little extra something on the side. Alrighty. And so all three of your stems should be nice and clean, no leaves, and either short clusters or individual stems. And so I've got a nice little posy of the white cushions.
It's okay to rip off the leaves?
Yes, please do.
Versus snipping, or is there a difference? Is it better to?
These are so easy to just to peel right off. It's more efficient just to use your hands to take them off. And you just kind of push down on the stem away from the bloom to get it off. Next, we're going to do the same mentality with our spray carnations. They're called spray because they're smaller than a typical carnation. They look like little puffs of popcorn. So with these, the leaves are connected to what's called a knuckle point. And you want to be careful when you're pulling them on a knuckle point, because if that's where it's going to break, if it's going to break at all. So just be gentle when you're peeling them down. And I like to just peel them all down. It doesn't matter how big or small. And then you do the same thing we did with the palms. If they're longer than 5 inches, you can use them as an individual. And if they're clustered, like the top of this one is, you can use them together. Because these are where they come down to connect to the main stem is shorter than 5 inches.
See you later.
Now, for example, I'm going to show you this guy. He's going to be shorter than my 5 inches, and he still has this long guy up here. So what I'm going to do, let me take that off, is I'm going to snip. Let me see if I can show you. I'm going to snip where that other one connects, so the rest of the stem stays with that shorter guy. So now they both have longer stems. And again, you'll have plenty of carnations. So if you think you might have cut one too short, do not fret. Now, something also really cool about carnations is their heads are extremely hardy. So on these ones that are tight, you can literally take your fingers and fluff them open. So you can enjoy their big, beautiful heads longer. Did you know that the carnation is the Queen of England's favorite flower? Carnations have a really bad rap for being a cheap flower, but if used properly, they are absolutely gorgeous. And they come in so many different varieties and textures, honestly. They're really, really cool flower. All right. Everybody got all their carnations opened and cleaned up? All right. So you should have a nice little posy of your white popcorn carnations. So we're going to set those off to the side. Next, we're going to do my favorite part, is we're going to process the roses. This variety in particular is called a Tibet white rose. I have no idea where it got its name from, but it is one of the hardier white roses. They like to crease a lot, but these ones do really well. So what we're going to do first is the same thing with the leaves. We're going to take off the leaves by pressing down on them and just snapping it off. They also, if you notice, don't have very many thorns. But if you do happen to have one that has a thorn, you can either use your clippers and clip it right off, or you can snap it off by pressing sideways on your thumb like that, and it just snaps right off.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So then traveling up your stem, I want you to look down here at the bottom. These little hanging guys, they're called a calyx. And that's where the bud formed when it was growing. And as the bloom opened up, those went to the backside. It does not matter if they're pointed up or pointed down. That means nothing regarding the health of the rose. However, if it is bent or damaged or has a crease in it, that's when we want to remove it, because then that can introduce bacteria prematurely to our rose. And so the way you do that is you get right up next to it and you just peel it away with your thumb and index finger, right like that. And you want it to be super clean. You don't want, let me see if I can do it. You don't want that little piece hanging. We call it a hanging chad. We want it nice and clean like over here. There you go. But only if they're damaged. Then going up the rest of your rose, now onto the actual petals, you're going to notice some petals on the outside that look awful. But they're there for a purpose. They're called guard petals. And that's what they do. They guard the rest of the rose from becoming damaged. So our job as florists is to now remove that so that the whole rose itself can shine. So anything that is bruised or broken, you're going to just peel right off like we did the calyx. Don't take off too much. It's up to you if it has any of the green on the side. That's a remaining piece of the calyx. I like to leave them because they look natural, but if some people don't, they want a cleaner look, so you can remove that too. I'll show you what I mean. See how that still has some green on it? It's not damaged, it's just part of the calyx. I'm gonna leave them on. Now, my favorite part is we're gonna open these suckers because they're nice and tight. So we're gonna take it upside down and put our hands on either side, and we're gonna use centrifugal force to open him up.
Oh, look.
Yeah. You don't do it too hard because then you'll have petals shooting everywhere. Then you can also blow into the center of him in kind of a circular motion. And you can blow pretty forcefully, actually. And that little bit of warmth from your breath will help open him up. So go ahead and do that with all 3 of your roses. So just to show you kind of a before and after the opening, this one we opened, this one we did not. It makes a big difference. And it doesn't damage your flower or anything or shorten its life. It just allows him to enjoy his beautiful face for longer. Alrighty. Nice little trick there, huh? So now you have what you probably expected to receive. Your very clean white roses. They look like completely different than when you first got them, right? All right. Next, we're going to go on to the spray roses. Unfortunately, we can't do the centrifugal force trick with these, but you can blow into them if you want them to open up a little bit more. So we're going to treat a lot like we did the daisies and carnations. We're going to go ahead and remove the leaves. And then this has a really good example. Let me show you this one. So here we have these 2 that are really close together. and then a break, and then these two that are relatively close together. So if I snip this middle guy right here, right before the next one, now I have two stems of them that I can use together. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So go ahead and go ahead.
What about this triple guy right here? What would you do?
So where those top two connect down, right before he hits the bottom one is where I would snip it. No, go further down.
This one.
Yes, right before that guy. So the last one will have the longer stem
Okay. Okay, so the last one stays
with the main guy. Yes, yes. Then if you do have any guard petals on here, you won't have very many. Go ahead and remove those too. And you just pluck them out. Oh, we got different kind of Christmas music. The station has a mind of its own. Still sounds like Christmas though. The lyrics do. Awesome. Perfect. I always take a look at the top of my roses, my spray roses, especially to make sure I don't have any that are creased there too. We want bright and shining, fully healthy roses. So on this particular stem, I've got two really long pieces that I can use individually, and then this middle guy that I'll keep together. Do, 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 do. All of my team members have some sort of kind of noise that they make when they're thinking. Mine is or a little cluck, and our main designer in the back, Karen, she goes tiki tiki tiki. It's really funny.
These little baby ones by this stem, are we removing those? Like these little ones?
The little thorns or leaves?
Yeah.
Yes, you can go ahead and remove those leaves. They're not terrible. On your carnations? No. Don't worry about that on your carnations.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why we remove the leaves is because once we get designing, if a leaf is sitting on top of our Oasis foam and we try and stick a stem on it, now it's going to block the water source and that flower is going to die right away. So we remove it so it's not even a chance for it to be in the way. Next, let's go to our Hypericum berries. And these we're going to remove the leaves as well. And this one is really important that you're using your thumb and index finger right where the leaf connects. Because as you get up towards the top, you'll notice that the leaf is really connected to these little branches of berries. And if you just pull the leaf, you could pull that whole little branch off as well. And we don't want to do that. Just removing the leaf. And we're only removing the big leaves. You'll notice that there's tiny little leaves around the actual berry itself. You're going to leave those be. Next, I want you to take a notice that you probably have two layers of berries here. You've got a main center cluster with the two little on the side. You can cut this main center guy right where he connects to those others. So again, you now have two uses of that stem. Cool? So go ahead and do that with all of your
Is there
berries.
the height that we need? Like, I think this is about like 6 inches, 5 inches, 4 inches. I don't know.
4 inches is okay. Anything less than 4 inches, then you'll want to keep your center one long and just snap off those side guys. Or if there's not enough on those side guys to make it worth it, you can just discard them. Like this one, he only has a tiny little piece over here, so I'd rather keep a longer stem. I'm just going to snap him off like I did a leaf. That's it. Alrighty. So I'm going to take this center guy out. My 2 stems there. And you might not need all of these berries. Typically, we only need about 3, but if you really like more red in your arrangement, you can add them. And then the last piece we're going to go and do right now is our status. We're going to cut these all into like individual little blooms. If you have one guy that is like him, you'll notice all of my flowers are male. What I'm going to do is take off these little erroneous guys on here on the side so I can use just my main cluster off this one particular stem. And you're going to have way more of these than you need, but they're there if you need to fill any holes. I'm going to make them all little individuals that are at least 5 inches long. And it'll be really important when it comes to putting these in our arrangement that you note their shape, where they kind of go up and over, and use that to our advantage when we're designing.
So it looks like you're clipping the length. What was the length again that we should, or just at the base of these?
You want at least 5 inches. So, and you can have a few that are shorter.
For the full height?
Correct. You can have a few shorter because we'll need some shorter eventually, but most of them we want to keep as long as possible. Yeah, all about 5 to 6 inches long.
Are you doing diagonal cuts or straight cuts?
Right now, it doesn't really matter what kind you're doing. When we get to designing, we'll definitely be doing diagonal cuts because you'll be making these shorter anyway. So these are just to get her done. But that is a good question to be asking. All right. Now our flowers are all clean. And clean up my little mess. All right. All right. So once you are done with your status, we're going to take our vase and now put it back in front of us. And I like it does not matter. It's a total personal preference for the open areas on the sides to be in my front and back, but it really does not matter. So what we're going to do first is our pine, and you'll notice you've got a whole bunch of branches here. We're going to cut those off individually. You're going to have some tall and some short. And it's okay if you have some really short ones. So like that, I have at least an inch and a half to go into my oasis. That's perfect. Okay. But then I've got some that are longer like this. Again, 5 or so inches, 5 to 6 inches. All right. So what we're going to start with first on our pine is a taller one. Okay. You're 5 to 6 inches. And we're going to put that straight in the middle, very straight middle, up and down. to where the exposed part before it gets to the pine is about 4 inches tall. 3 to 4 inches tall. We don't want it too tall. Can you see that? Right smack in the middle. Like it's its own little tree. Now we want to put, we're going to do one on each of our corners at a 45-degree angle. Okay. And you want these to be slightly shorter than your main one. Okay. So we've got our tall one here and our angled one on our corner here. We're going to do it on all 4 corners. Remember, our corner ones, we want to be a little shorter than our tall one. This is going to give us our overall shape of our arrangement and really be our guide. I'm going to turn mine upside down to show you. I've got our middle one and then our 4 corners. From there, we're going to take these little ones and put them more directly above the rim of our vase into the oasis. This is going to do what we call hide the magic. Eventually, the entire rim of our vase will be covered so that you don't see any of that oasis. So if you look on each side, you end up with a diamond almost. You've got your middle, 2 sides, and then bottom one. Some of these smaller pieces have weaker stems, and it's more difficult to get into that oasis, but that's okay.
Sorry, I was a little behind. So I've got the center and the 4 corners, and then what we're doing?
The smallest pieces, where you're going to put right over the edge of the vase into the oasis. Can you skip this song? It's distracting. So you kind of end up with a diamond on each pane, top, 2 sides, and a bottom. And this, like I said, is overall shape. So you should have what's beginning to look like a little bit of a dome shape. Next, we're going to get out our cedar. And we're going to choose a piece that a couple of pieces are very limp like this, and that's okay. That's just normal how it is. And then you have some that are stronger like this. So when you want to choose at least 4 stems that are a little bit stronger. And like this guy, he's super long. I'm again going to cut into 6-inch piece up at the fluffy top. And then we've got this littler piece, which we can still use at our base. This top, I don't have quite enough stem to go into the oasis. So I'm going to peel off this bottom leaf here so that I have at least 1 inch to go into my oasis. I'm going to make a couple of these. Couple meaning you want at least 4. And these are going to go in the middle, in between your side pieces. So where you've got your top and your 2 sides on each corner of your pine, they're going to go smack dab in the middle of the pine, right along the edge, the top edge of your oasis. They shouldn't be sticking out too much further than your pine is. It should be just adding to that dome shape.
Is there a photo that we can look at? Because
There, you got your finished product here, but let me show you mine a little bit better. I know it's hard with the pine. So I've got my middle guy right here. I've got my two side ones on each corner right here. I've got my little tiny pine right above the rim. And then my cedar is right there, smack dab in the middle. Those two.
Can I ask you about the cedar?
Uh-huh.
They're like really long.
Uh-huh. So you're gonna cut it into pieces. So like, for example, this piece is really long. I'm gonna start with this top section and go down to where I've got about a 6-inch piece. And I cut them down. And then, like I said, I don't have anywhere for the oasis to go into, so I'm gonna peel off these bottom couple pieces. And then you keep doing that depending on how long it is. So like for this one, he's super long. I'm gonna just keep cutting into pieces that end up from the tip here to the bottom are about 5 to 6 inches. Does that make sense?
It does. I think some of mine, just to go through what I think, some of them don't have that brown like you're showing. It truly is just like all light green, so it's super flimsy. So if I were to like rip any of these things out of.
So you don't have any kind of connecting, like even just that little bit of brown?
It's all the way down here for this one.
Okay.
That's the I'll look through.
Yeah. That's the unique thing about floral design. We can all have the exact same quote unquote product, but it's a thing of nature. So you kind of have to adapt and figure out where the best place is for them to go based on, oh, I'm so sorry. That's my mama. I forgot it could come through my computer. Hold yours up. Usually if you're not getting a similar look, it's because you're making it too tall. We want it nice and compact where you're not any more than 5 to 6 inches off of the vase.
And then my question was, you said we just need about 4 of those, right?
To start, yes.
Oh, okay, right. So I did 4, like I have, I don't know if you can see it yet. I have basically just like 1 on each.
Right, 1 in each. We're gonna fill in more, but we wanted to get a base shape going. So, Miss Lewis, I think you need to make yours shorter as well. You've got some really long cedar pieces. Go ahead and snip those much shorter. Nothing should be sticking out more. Yep, yours looks great, Janelle.
Mine looks crazy.
No, it looks great. There you go. There you go. Yep. Usually, perfect. Yes, Mrs. Haskins, yours looks great. I can only see last names on here, or however you guys made your name, so I apologize. You want, the overall goal is a nice, tight arrangement. So we don't want anything super long or shooting off. The max out here is 5 to 6 inches. So for those of you that have your base shape, let's go ahead and just start filling in more. Literally, you're going to kind of cover as much as you can with your greens as of right now, as keeping within your base shape. Don't feel like you need to use everything because you can always go back and fill in more later. So we want overall nice, good coverage of our greens. So the shorter pieces, like your shorter pieces of cedar can get tucked up right there underneath the vase, right there at the root. Your longer pieces will go in higher. And literally there's no right or wrong with where you're placing them as long as you're not too long sticking out from the base that you had already made. We just want an overall greenery coverage. Of course, you want to make it as even as possible between the two different types of green. You don't want a huge chunk of cedar in one section and a huge chunk of pine in the other. And you also don't have to fill in 100% because obviously we have flowers that will go in here. We just want a nice, good little coverage of our greens. Tessa, where's Brooke? How did you get here? From school? Alrighty. Let's see what you guys got. Awesome, awesome. Your name starts with Dan. I keep filling in more, okay? You've got, yep. Hold up your arrangement one more time. There you go, yep. You want to fill in a little bit more on the bottom sections. So you've got a nice little dome shape. Here's a close-up of mine.
What about this?
Let's see, who's talking to me?
Shauna.
Okay, there you are. Yep, you want more. So also right down here on the bottom, go ahead and fill in a little bit more. And then turn it around for me, Shauna. Yeah, go ahead and keep filling in more in this bottom section so we don't see the oasis. I'll show you a close-up of mine. Yeah. Miss Ramirez is doing well.
Yeah.
What I can see of S. Font is doing well too. Janelle, you're getting better. Turn it around the other side. I think you've missed a hole there. Yeah, do the other side. There you go, that side. Perfect. Literally with greens, I can add and add and add and add. At some point, you have to say, okay, that's enough. You can always go back and add more later, as I had mentioned earlier. Alrighty. Give y'all a few more minutes to get those last little greens in there. Making them shorter makes all the difference. All right. Let's go on. We're going to now start with our flowers. We're going to start with our roses. So typically you start with the biggest flowers and you move down and finish with the filler flowers. So we're going to do basically a triangle type motion with all of the flowers that we're doing. So we're going to take our first rose and we are going to cut at a good sharp angle, about 6 inches long, okay? And the reason why we cut it at such a sharp angle is for 2 reasons. Now it's kind of insert into the oasis like a knife versus crushing through it with a blunt tip. And we've opened up more surface area so it can absorb more water. And what we're going to do is think of our arrangement in tiers. Okay, so we've got our bottom tier, which is right above the bottom of our vase, or the top of our vase. Then we've got our midsection, and then we've got our top. Okay, our roses are going to go in the midsection. Okay, and we insert them about a 45-degree angle. And the way I kind of determine that is I want it facing my face. Okay. And I'm designing it as the way you should be seeing it. And then I'm just going to insert it into my oasis at a good 45-degree angle to where he is nestled in there with the blooms. I don't want to see him sticking up like this because that's not normal and natural looking. Okay. We want them sitting right on top of the greens. All right. Can you see how deep I've got him there? And a little bit more of an angle for him in particular. If you have pushed your flowers down too deep and you don't like where you put them, you have to take him out and make a new hole, because what has happened now when you've inserted that flower into the oasis and you just pull him out a little bit more, he no longer has good contact with the oasis and he'll die faster. So the next rows, we're going to do the exact same length, and we're going to eventually end up with them in a triangle around the middle section of our arrangement. And I'm going to turn mine upside down to show you from the top view what it should look like as I spill water everywhere. So you can see, got all in a triangle. That's the top view. This is our side view. Yes, very good. Perfect, perfect. Now this is also going to act as a guide for where the rest of our flowers should be going. Okay, so we're going to go with our button palms next. These guys, okay? And we're going to end up with little clusters near each of these roses, okay? You can choose to put one a little higher or a little lower in your arrangement, but we want at least 3 together, okay? So if you only have individuals, then what I like to do is kind of group them together like that, cut them together. Depending on if you're going to put them high or low in your arrangement is how long they should be. I'm going to put this one a little higher, so a little bit above my rose, but not directly above and to the side. And I'm going to insert them all 3 together. If that's difficult for you, then you can do each of them separately, but still for this kind of clustered effect. Okay. Then you're going to do that on each rose. I have a little bit of these daisies in a cluster. I like to mix it up on the high and the lows. So I'm going to do this next one a little bit lower. So I'm going to cut them a little shorter. If you're doing them on the bottom tier, they only need to be about 4 inches long. And again, these need to be nestled right there with our greens, not sticking up way far out of the arrangement. So there's my first cluster, and there's my second cluster. And the reason why we do them in clusters is because in nature, when flowers go and bloom and then seed, they fall right below that first flower, and then several sprout out right where they fell. So we're kind of just mimicking the things that happen in nature. Perfect.
Can you turn yours around again so I can see?
So that's a lower one. And then we've got a taller one there. And then I did a taller one there too.
Okay, so you only have 3 bunches in there.
Right. I only have 3 clusters for now.
Okay.
Miss Lewis, I would do your top daisies down just a little bit. Yep. Perfect. Oh yeah, that's even better. Perfect. There you go. Yes, that looks great. Miss Ramirez, you did a great job. Yes. Miss Handa Clark. There you go. Yay, y'all are doing such a good job. And you'll notice you'll have extras. So if you want more full arrangement when we're done, feel free to add all that you have, or you can make your own little bundle of extras in like a bud vase. Next, we're going to go to the spray roses. And we're going to do these because you should have a lot that are kind of individuals. We're going to do the same idea, but I like to do opposite. So if I did a cluster up here, then I'm going to do a cluster lower. There we go. And then with these spray roses, you should have enough to where we're going to do one directly in the center. And that will be your top piece. Now these you won't have enough to do 3 each. So you should only be doing 2 spray roses each. As we start filling into our oasis, you're going to find it harder and harder to find a blank spot in your oasis to get it in there. There we go. But that is okay. You just keep poking at it till you find a spot. All right, let me show you how I did mine. So I've got my spray roses over here and my other cluster of the daisy palms there. Then here I did low and high. All righty. And if you have extras, feel free to make it a trio. Or you can save them for when you're done if you have an extra hole. All righty. So now before we move on to our next 2 fillers, if you'd like to take a moment and add more greens to these open spaces, go ahead and do that now. I want to do it now versus later because we don't ever want our flowers to be covered up by the greens. We always want our greenery to be a base, just an accent and cover up. And take a few things here and fill in a little bit heavier on these open spaces. So you should have 3 good little chunks of open space that we're going to fill in. There we go. Yay, look Look at all of your arrangements. Coming to life. Beautiful. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our carnations and our status, and we're going to fill these in, just accents on our 3 open spaces, okay? And what we're going to do, so I've got a little bit of carnation right there, and I've got a big open space right here. So I'm going to put him smack dab in the middle, again, 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to put a little piece of status right next to him. And again, when you're looking at that status, you want to go with its shape. So this one in particular, I'm going to make it go up instead of down. When you do flowers downward, it gives it the illusion that it's dying or dead. So I always like to have them kind of pointing up. And I still have this little section right here that I'm going to fill in. So our overall goal is to not have any big chunks of dead space. Dead space meaning lots of greenery with no flower accent. So I've got this big chunk right here. It's not as big, but I've got a good little chunk right there. So I'm going to go ahead and plop a carnation in there. Find a hole for it. And with a little green or a little status accent. Okay. And I have another pretty good hole there. So it looks like I can use a little daisies in there, because I've got extras. And then a little chunk of carnation. Kind of as we are filling in, we got to find little holes down in our greenery. Add a little status accent. Doing this backwards for y'all is very interesting. There we go. Okay, and I still have a hole right here. So we're gonna go ahead and fill that in. We want our flowers to come all the way down to the end of the vase. No dead spots. And you've got plenty of the fillers, so don't be shy. Alrighty, so I'm going to turn mine around slowly so you can kind of see the even balance that we've got going on here. Yay, look at all of y'all's really shaping up. Dan, you've got one little chunk that's facing the camera. Turn your arrangement around. Turn your arrangement around. There you go. Look at that piece right there that's in front of you. You've got a good spot that needs a flower there. And then Miss Ramirez, the side that's facing me, is facing the camera. There you go. You got a good piece right. Perfect. You found it. Yay. Trish, I missed you showing yours. Hold yours up again. Oh, yay. Beautiful.
I just found a spot right here.
Perfect.
Actually, when I was showing you, I could see it a little bit easier.
Yeah, sometimes the camera will pick up those dead spots easier.
Yeah.
Shauna, yours is looking
Having
good.
height issues.
You're having what issues?
Height.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, either take it out and give it a little snip or just weasel it down in there a little bit more. Looks like you just need a little snip. Miss Ramirez is looking good. Miss Haskins, show me yours. I don't think she can hear me. Oh, there you go. Yay. Yours is looking great. All right, now let's go and add some red to these. As I mentioned before, we really only need at least 3 of these, but if you want to use more, you're certainly, of course, welcome. But we're gonna put these in the similar triangle pattern that we had before. And so you're gonna cut these a good 6 inches. And they've got good hardy stems. So you want to push by the stem, not by the berries, okay? And you're going to find an area in that middle plane to go ahead and add those in. A good 45-degree angle. Again, facing you, facing your face. If you happen to have some shorter ones, you can go ahead and use those in the lower plane like this. And it still works. So what you can do there, when you have the shorter ones, you can then use your gold pick. And what you're going to do is open these up to be kind of fanned out. And you'll put that above, and they'll just kind of rest in there. So now I've got gold and red berries. And that is your finishing touch with the berries. The gold ones, like I said, will just rest in there. So don't feel like you got to force them in or anything. Then once you've got all of your berries in, you're going to take one last look and make sure you don't have any dead spots, or if you can see oasis through to the greenery, then you'll just add a little bit more because we, like I said, want to hide the magic. What's that?
Stop here. Sorry.
Very good. Ms. Harris, I would probably put your berries in a little bit lower. Yeah, he's sticking out a lot. There you go. Cut him nice and short. I'd cut him more. There you go. They should be resting in the same height as your roses flowers. They shouldn't be sticking up. There, that's much better. Yeah. Ms. Harris, turn yours around a little bit more. Let me see that other side. Yeah, that other berry I would cut shorter too and nestle him in there. There you go. Yay, Jennifer's looks great. You got yours nice and full. Miss Lewis, you're doing great. Yay, look at Chelsea's. Chelsea, you could probably get your berries in there tighter too. They're just supposed to be an accent. They're not supposed to be showpieces. There you go. Yay. Oh, Miss Harris, yours looks great. Love that. Oh, Janelle, you did wonderful. You got those all nestled in there really good. Yay. Megan, let's see yours. Yay. So pretty. Absolutely. Now you know when you do buy flowers, you're not just buying flowers, you're really buying a piece of art. So when you're done with this, you don't have to water it today, but definitely water it at least tomorrow. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Do water it today. Go ahead and fill it up because we want to make sure everybody gets nice and hydrated, especially after their travel to you. And then you won't have to water it tomorrow. You can skip a day, every other day. Make sure to use those water conditioning packets. I'm not sure if you guys have water like we do around here. It's hard. So everybody has a water softener, and soft water will kill flowers within a couple of days. So if you use that water conditioning pack, that will combat the water softener. If you run out of that, then either bottled water or water from your hose. If you don't have a water softener, don't worry about anything I just said. Then it's really easy to forget to water these because you can't see the water line like you can in traditional vases. So maybe set a reminder on your phone or something so that you can enjoy these flowers for as long as they'll stay healthy for you. Then don't forget, on the back of your workshop card, there are instructions on how to share and tag, because we, like I said in the beginning, want to see your big, beautiful, smiling faces with your arrangements. And then if you really like our workshops and want to do more, you can get on our website and see the additional workshops that we will be doing. We haven't announced our January or spring ones yet, but they'll be up shortly. And now you already have the clippers, so you don't even need those. It makes them work real easily. Tell me what questions you guys have.
So no question. The only flower that I didn't get in my kit was the mini carnation, that really pretty.
Oh, okay, the popcorn one.
Oh, I filled in everything with the button, you know, and with the status.
The status. Okay, perfect. Thank you for the feedback.
Just so you know, I don't know if that's like a vendor issue.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. I will definitely get on our team with that.
This is so pretty. I am so happy with this. So thank you so much. It's cheered me up my whole day. It's so great.
Wonderful. That's so great to hear. They also make really good presents. So if you are going to go see your mom or a neighbor and want to cheer somebody up, you can go leave them on their doorstep.
Where would I get that foamy, the greenery thing? Where would I get that foam piece?
You can get it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, but just be very careful about what it is you're buying, because a lot of the foam they sell is for silk flowers. So you want to get what they call wet foam, one that can absorb water. Mm-hmm. And I know in our area, in a lot of areas, a lot of the wholesalers can sell to the public, so you can get supplies from them as well. Yeah.
I will say that's one of the things that I miss the most about the office is Doreen and Janelle's beautiful flower displays.
Aww.
They always had something, and so I assume at some point they eventually it would head over to them. They always do something down.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I kept some flowers by my bed. This is what I just keep by my bed. Flowers make me really happy.
Absolutely. They are a definite love language of a lot of women. And men, to be honest.
Can I see your arrangement? Janelle, can I see what you made?
Mine is, it's kind of like, it looks a little avant.
Yeah, mine looks like a jungle.
Yours
It
is
looks like
great.
it's got a lot going on.
Yours looks pretty.
Yours looks great, Shauna.
Wait, Marie, can I see yours? I live in yours. See her at the office.
She is the florist of the office.
Overall.
How long should the flowers last?
If you keep them nice and hydrated, they should last at least 5 days. The roses will be the first to go, and then the others will last at least a week and a half or so. And then the greenery, of course, will last forever and ever.
And I love these scissors, right, Janelle?
They're so helpful. Like,
It's like the best Christmas gift, the scissors alone.
way better than me trying to use like regular scissors.
Yeah, this is so nice.
Flower.
Thank you. Of course, lost the connection in the middle of it. But
Oh,
I
no.
think that it was right when we were done.
Oh, gotcha.
You said put the gold balls in anywhere, and then my connection dropped.
Oh, gotcha. That was basically it. So, yeah, putting in your red berries and your gold balls was your finishing touch. And then if you see anywhere else that needs a little bit more greenery or just another extra little touch, go ahead and do it that time.
Well, mine definitely doesn't look as beautiful as yours, or probably most of yours, but I'm super pumped with it, and it smells absolutely divine. It like literally smells like Christmas.
Yay!
What was that? Can we see your arrangement? Can we see what you did? Oh yeah, here, can you see it?
Mm-hmm. It looks great.
Great. Listen, I'm just thrilled that I did anything like this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
hard at work. She looks like she's a pro in there. Who does? Sophia. Look at, you can see that. Oh, I love you, Sophia.
Did a great job. All of y'all
Thank
did.
you so much. This was really, really awesome. I loved it.
Yay.
So much. Maybe we'll do another seasonal event with you.
Absolutely.
Flowers.
Absolutely. We have a lot of companies doing multiple with us. We've got 4. You guys are my first of 4 corporate workshops this week. So we're so excited that y'all are our first for the week.
Yes, well, thank you so much. And ladies, please send me a picture of you and your arrangement tonight. Because I'd love to have them and send them to you guys later. And thank you. This is awesome.
Thank you, Trisha. I'm going, for those that got their workshop later, I'm going to have the recorded YouTube version up on that same link that's included in their kit. So they won't have to do anything extra except click recorded version.
Amanda, do you think that you could also email it to me?
Absolutely. I'll probably have to provide you because the YouTube, yes, I can send you that link directly.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
And I'll email it. I'll send it.
Perfect.
To everybody. Okay, great.
Y'all have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for spending some time with me.
Thank you.
Bye.